One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
What's up, everybody? Ooh, yeah, everything's working. Yeah, I got it all. The buttons all seem to be, everything's flying here. Whew. Good to be home. Absolutely fantastic being home after spending, I don't even know how many days, 3, 4, 4.5 days over in Washington, D.C. So before we begin, I want to give you a brief, and it may be a little bit more than brief, I guess a monologue of sort as to what I observed in Washington, D.C., in case some of you haven't been there lately. First, the city itself. I remember being there in college. I remember being there in high school, and I remember seeing homeless people. I remember seeing all kinds of trash like you would see in any big city. President Trump didn't lie. He completely cleaned up the city. I was with a purpose looking for garbage so that I could say, up, didn't clean it up. And as we drove and traversed the different avenues and roads in the city, sure enough, didn't see any garbage. It was like being in Disney World in that aspect. Having worked at Disney World, I know how hard the sanitation and maintenance crews work after hours to make sure all the crap you see during the day is gone the next day when you show up. Well, every day when we got up and we're looking for it, it was already clean. I don't know if these people clean at 4 a.m. in the morning. I don't know, but it was completely clean. In addition, throughout the 4 or 5 days, whatever it was, I saw one homeless tent under a bridge abutment. And that was the only one I saw in the entire time that we were driving around the city. Completely clean. For 2 days, I didn't even see a police car. I remarked to Ashley at one point and said, "Hey, do they have cops here?" I didn't see any cops. Then the third day was when the State of the Union, they were everywhere. I mean, everywhere. And I just wanted to bring that up. To a lot of people, not a big deal in the way things shape out, but the fact that the city was clean, it was safe. I saw a total of 6 National Guardsmen all at once in one place. That was it. It's safe. I saw women walking alone, saw couples walking alone during the day and at night. It's completely safe. So everything he's been telling you that the Democrats don't want to admit is 100% true. 100% true. Felt completely safe. Had my wife and my daughter with me. Didn't feel any problems whatsoever. Didn't think somebody was going to kick in the door to the Verbo. Everything felt very secure. Slept like a baby. Well, okay. So next thing is, if you go visit the White House or if you go visit Capitol Hill, one thing is going to become very apparent to you. These old geezers ain't doing it. I don't care. I know how much I walked. There was a point where I'm like, can I summon a wheelchair or something? Can somebody come pick me up? Is there a golf cart or somewhere that I OMG, you walk and you walk and you walk and then you walk some more. And then when you think you haven't walked enough, you're going to keep walking. You walk everywhere. And I'm 65. I'm in relatively good health. I have a bad bum knee from football. I put my knee sleeve on, those compression sleeves, so I wouldn't have any problems. And I'm like, I haven't walked this much since I played football. You walk everywhere. So you tell me how some of these old geezers are getting around, because it's impossible. It's impossible that these people aren't being, faking their votes, having staff members to vote things and that nature. Third thing, you see sometimes during the hearing, somebody says the volume is loud. Sound problem, go out and come back in. I don't have a, hold on, check, check, check. I seem to be fine on my end. Anybody having a sound problem? Wait a minute, volume is fine here. I don't know. Sounds good to me. Anybody else having a sound issue? Turn up volume, turn up doesn't change what? Sound is low. I check 1, 2, check 1, 2. I don't know why the sound would be low. If anything, the sound might have been higher. Check 1, 2, 1, 2. Let me see. Several people are saying, let me see what SB is saying here. It is my first day back in here. Ashley says it sounds good. SB. Uh, Once I get these notifications, several viewers saying your sound is low. I'm 5x5. I don't want to peak it and have it click out. So most people are saying it sounds good. All right, so it's fine. Next thing I want to tell you, in the background, and let me hold off on day 3, day 1. Day 1, we get there. The first thing we do is we have the meeting with the congressional caucus. And in this giant room where they have some of the hearings that you see on TV, is where they held this meeting. And so they had tables all set up all around the room. And the congressional people, congressmen and congresswomen, they go in a round robin, or they have specific people that they're going to sit down with, and they have their interview with them. Sometimes 8, 10, 12, 15 minutes, depending on the person. Well, what I found very interesting about this is, as they were coming in, you had Fox News, and you had Reuters and Bloomberg and Axios, Politico. To my right was Lindell TV, which I got to tell you a funny story about them. And then to my left was Patrick Bet David PBD podcast. That was the only time, other than the people to our left, which was the Patrick Bet David podcast, there were no other new media / creators. Everybody was a big network. And so I'm sitting here going, hey, are we supposed to be here? Okay. And like the first 30 minutes, we didn't know what was going on. And then it started flowing and people coming in. And what I want to tell you is how these things run isn't by the person you see on television, isn't by the person you see in the hearings. The entire aspect of our government, you quickly find out, is run by staffers and handlers. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I think people should know that. Hey, you need to go here. You need to go eat. You need to go do this. There's buzzers going off. You need to go. I mean, it's like a theatrical performance. I found that to be a little bit odd. I thought there'd be a little bit more autonomy, that people could do things, but they were shuffled in and said, you sit here now, sit here. So the first day we did a round robin with a bunch of people, bunch of congressmen that you're gonna watch. I want to tell you, I have one interview I'm going to show you today because I still got a ton of editing, an absolute F ton of editing to do. Then day two came, and when day two came, I did the show. I mean, that same night we did the State of the Union. The State of the Union was fantastic. You could feel the electricity in the air. We're going to go over that. Going to give you some perspective from what some of the people said behind the scenes as well. And then Wednesday morning, we got to go to the White House and walk some more, and walk some more, and walk some more. The security is amazing. You have to show your security to get into the premises. Then you walk a little bit more and you got to show some more security. Then you have to put everything you have with you on the ground. And let this big giant black dog come over that looks like he eats people for lunch, where they tell you stand back and the dog, okay, we're good. And then you let you in. Then you walk in, you walk some more, and you walk some more, and you walk some more. You go down to this building where they have the press conferences and everything that you see on TV, and you have to be escorted everywhere. When I say everywhere, you need to go to the bathroom, you need to walk down the hall here, we'll take you. You don't go anywhere, which I liked. It tells me how safe things are. So then we get into the room, and the second day, President Trump and his administration were absolutely amazing how they scheduled this. This is the morning after the State of the Union. And so he had the entire cabinet, except for one. I didn't see RFK Jr., but the entire cabinet came in and talked to us one by one. We had a sheet. At this time, you're going to talk to this person. At this time, you're going to talk to this person. And you had a complete schedule as who you had. And it was divided. Like, obviously, I couldn't possibly have interviewed 15 cabinet members. Like, for instance, I saw Dr. Oz come by, and it was right after he and J.D. Vance spoke yesterday. And but he was scheduled for somebody else. But we had Marty McCary from the FDA, which you'll see. We had Scott Turner from HUD, the Secretary of HUD, which I'll show you. We had Kelly Stauffer, who's been on, Loeffler, who's been on the show before from the SBA. And we had Linda McMahon from Secretary of Education, is who our specific interviews were with. And then in between, you saw me, I grabbed a hold of Tom Homan, which made my day. I had that was my one fanboy moment, is talking to Tom Homan. And if you saw the picture I posted, he had a giant grin, which you never see that side of people on television. It's always the gruff, sounds like he's a tough, mad guy. And, he probably is, but he was smiling and having a great time. So I just wanted to start off by giving you a little bit of the background. Now I want to give you my perspective. My perspective is we're in trouble. I don't mean that to be hyperbolic. I mean that to be true. I saw things that made me realize at this point, and Ashley even said the same thing, is what do these people do? What do they do? And the contrast, which is the word of the day, you guys used to watch Sesame Street, contrast, the word of the day. Word of the day is contrast. It started in this State of the Union, and it followed through for everything we saw, contrast. We saw the Congress people who came in and did their round robin interviews. Some of these people have been 30, 40 years in Congress. What do you do? What have you done? What are you doing? And then the State of the Union, you saw somebody, President Trump, come out there and bring a big hammer, which I told you that day. And then afterwards, the next morning, when the cabinet came in, we saw people on fire. We saw people in that cabinet that are lit. They are ready to go. They want to make stuff happen. They're pushing President Trump's agenda, and it stops. It just stops. And the Democrats and some Republicans have learned how to use the process to their advantage. and how to slow it down so it ticks more like a clock than anything else, just a little bit at a time. Because right now, if President Trump was able to run the way he wants to, this country would already be back to where it's supposed to be. I think Ashley would concur. Every single person in the cabinet was like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to. And I'm like, when? Well, as soon as they do their job. And it was just over and over. And then one of the things I did hear with some of the congressional people, and it made me stop the interview a couple of times. I'm like, you sound frustrated. And they're like, we just wish people would do something. And then you realize afterwards, I'm sitting back with Ashley, going to lunch or dinner, and I went, we're in trouble. We are in big trouble. I want to show you. Let me segue into something that kind of puts this in a perspective. Hopefully my buttons still work. Yeah. All right. So I saw this posted by Elon Musk. I wanted to show you. Of course, okay. And he goes, yes, the job of the mainstream media today is to make you think that the views of 10% of the country are actually the views of 90% of the country. And I posted in reference to that this. I said, and that small 10% includes the media and many people in government. I spent some time in Washington, and this became glaringly obvious. Houston, we have a problem. I want you to imagine that you live, eat, work, I don't know if you play, with the same people 24/7. And you would have to imagine if that was the case, it'd become very stale very quickly. And what we found out, and what I was able to actually put my eyes on, I didn't have eyes on this until we went to Washington, is that the reason, in my opinion, why things are the way they are in government is because nobody looks outside of this box. Like I drew a circle, this box. They all live, they all eat, whatever playing they do happens right here, and they have no contact with regular people. I know sometimes they go home on the weekends and they have these town hall meetings, which are orchestrated as well. But if you're now out there rubbing elbows with people, with direct people who are impacted by what your job is, then how are you supposed to know what they want? And I'm talking about the reporters. The reporters were lining up in these meetings, and I would listen to some of the things they're saying, and I'm like, they were acting like they were the show. I'm not going to name names because I don't want none of them, giving us a hard time. But I turned to Ashley and went, do they not realize they're here to get information so they can give it to people? Not that it's, hey, how you doing? It's Harvey Wallbanger here, and I'm here in the Capitol. And guess what? It's all about me today. What do you say? Yeah. Hold on, we'll get back to you. And I really felt like that's what was going on. I felt like the Harvey Wallbangers were trying to do the Harvey Wallbanger show instead of letting Joe, the congressman, talk or ask him the questions that people actually want to hear. And it really makes you think that the 10%, which is that box called Washington, D.C., doesn't understand what people outside that box really want. We went to a restaurant for our final lunch yesterday, and I won't tell you which one. Well, I can tell you, it's Joe's Stone Crab, just like the one here in Miami, Joe Stone Crab in Washington, D.C. President Trump went there one night for dinner, and that was why Robin wanted to go there. And we had this wonderful server. His name was Ashton. I remember his name because Ashton, a young kid. And you could tell he didn't get this kind of interaction. Rob will talk to everybody. She didn't care who you are. She just want to have fun. Hey, so tell me about yourself. And the guy's like talking and everything. And you realize these people don't want to be bothered. They don't want to be bothered. They're sort of prima donnas. I'm talking about the media too. And it just jumps out at you and it's like, how are we ever going to do something when this cabinet and this president are ready to kick ass and everybody else is like, hold on, that's not how we do it here. Hold on. Okay, we got to have a meeting to decide what time we're going to have a meeting. And then we're going to have another meeting to decide what the topics we're going to cover in the meeting. I'm not joking. And it made me really think at this point where we are as a country, how we're going to move forward, what we're going to do, because real life doesn't work like what you see in the White House and around Congress. Real people, just not real work. And right now we've got everything revealed to me. I can tell you this with complete definity, and I can underscore it. I now know why they hate Trump. Because he's screwing up the apple cart. He's making them work. It's easy to go to banquets and, hey, how you doing? How you doing? I'm so and so. It's a different when it's like, get this done. Quit effing around. And I understand this guy's talking in your ear and he's going to give you $500,000 if you do this or do that. We need to deliver for the friggin' American people. That's why we're here. Hold on, Donnie. Donnie, you're only here for another 3 years. I plan on being here for another 30. So what it ends up happening is my objectives as a congressperson or senator do not meet the objective of the guy sitting in the White House. The guy in the White House is like, we need to get this done. Yeah, well, hold on. We're not ready for that. I swear to God, God is my witness. That's what the problem is. If I could put it in a bow and tell it to you, I could say apathy. Apathy. Not even the rhinos, not even the libtards, which I'll tell you about them in a second. It's not neither of those. It's apathy. We don't give a shit. I'm going to be here for 20 or 30 years. I'm going to make a couple million. I'm going to do some insider trading. Stop pushing us. That's what we need to be talking about. Not all the crap on Twitter, not Benny Johnson posting pictures of Hillary. None of that shit. Is we need to tell these people to go to work, because that's the one thing that you do control in all of this is your individual representative and senators need to know, I don't, stop talking, shut up. Just go do what that man in the White House wants done. That's what we want. And I think all the superfluous crap that people talk about this agenda, and there's one agenda we want. That's the problem. We want one agenda. You got 50. And until we can get these people who we're stuck with to understand we want what this guy wants to do, we are screwed. And I don't know if anyone has ever pointed it out to you that way, but we've got complete, they say 3 different branches of government, the judicial, congressional, and the executive. Well, the executive wants to get stuff done. The other people don't, period. And so everything else you see on the news and everything, they're rushing in here. I saw Jim Jordan. By the way, he's tiny. I mean, a lot of these people are tiny. A lot of these people, you're wondering, no, I won't say it, but you would think you'd want people. That might be another reason why they don't Trump. He's a big, imposing man. And you've seen over the last couple of days what, masculine guys do to people. They're freaking out all over the place because of masculinity. And when you look around, you're like, I understand why. You were the guys we used to stuff in the closet. They are not there to represent Trump's agenda. They are there to represent their agenda. And I've heard it, but I saw it up close and personal. And it's scary because you realize at this point, what do we do? All the things that President Trump wants to get done, it's going to be very hard for these things to get done because of the fact that these people right now are living under this ideology. This small group of people want to tell you what everybody else wants, but that's not it, because what we all wanted, and I'm pretty sure I can speak for you if you're MAGA, we wanted President Trump to go in there and what? Obliterate the deep state, kick some butt, make things happen, save America. And unfortunately, I'm here to tell you at this point, I don't think that's the same agenda for people in the Senate and the Congress. Saw it up close and personal. Next thing that was important, and I got a show to get to, but I'm just trying to recap the week. The next thing I want to show you is we heard myself asking questions and Ashley hearing them as well. Even the camera guys a couple times were like, what? You'd be amazed at how many Democrats want to work with us, but they can't. And these people weren't standing near the other person so they could hear the answer and then repeat it. You know, they'd shuffle around. Hey, so what do you got? How bad are the Democrats? Well, Democrats aren't that bad. What do you mean? Because a lot of them want to work with us. They just can't. Scout's honor. Ashley, if she's in the chat, will tell you. Wait, what do you mean? You just can't. One of the reasons why the State of the Union went the way it did, which I'm going to get into real shortly here, is I firmly believe there was nobody in the audience on the Democrat side who rang the bell and told these idiots, stand up, hurry up, stand up, stand. Oh, shit. Someone is pulling the strings. Someone is telling all the Democrats, you will do what we say, or we're going to show you in bed with little boys, or who you're taking money from, because it was almost whispered. No, they want to work with us, but some of them know they can't. Like, what in the hell are we doing here? Because I personally think President Trump, when he made that statement, which you're going to hear, and are we supposed to get up? I don't know. I don't know if they were queuing on one person and that one person was, drinking something and didn't listen. But it became obvious, very obvious to even, Ashley and I were talking. I think Ashley posted something about it. Hold on, let me pull this up. She said, this was my biggest takeaway this weekend. Behind closed doors, Democrats are working with the administration. And they are. And they're told, don't you do it. Don't you do it. This video popped up yesterday, and she's not in Washington, but nonetheless, Gretchen Whitmer said this.
Michigan is open for business. New factories making batteries, cars, chips are opening in Marshall, Lake Orion, Holland, Bay City, Calumet, Hemlock, Ann Arbor, and Delta Township. A new fighter mission is coming to Selfridge Air National Guard Base in Macomb County. Probably not on the bingo card, but I want to thank President Trump for his work on this.
It shocked some of them. It absolutely shocked them that she thanked President. Who? Oh, no, not the Orange Man. The Orange Man's bad. We can't thank him. Maybe there's a fissure between, her and John Fetterman, and a few are like, no, you're not going to control the way I think. We want to make the country better. Our constituents want us to make the country better, but we're told, we're threatened, whatever it is, they can't do it. And I think at some point the lights are being shown so much. I got something with Dr. Oz and J.D. Vance coming up as well in terms of something they uncovered. I'm looking up, I'm seeing Nick Shirley on television. Oh my gosh, they just showed like one of his videos and I was in the background. Ah, nice guy again. And it's going to be us. And I'm not excluding you guys. It's going, and I say us, all of us, we are going to have to do it. The media is not going to do it. And some of your Congress people and senators aren't going to do it. I don't know. I think coming out of Washington, the biggest thing I have at this point is I have to help motivate us, individuals. The country's lost. They are going to fight him tooth and nail. They're going to threaten people within their own party not to work with him. There is some force somewhere. It's not Obama. Obama ain't got that kind of power. There is some force, deep state or otherwise, that is telling them, fight him, fight him, fight him. And it's good. And what I'm going to show you becomes quite obvious that everything they're doing is trying to destroy America, not just him. course they want to destroy him, but like I think he understood that the way to fight it was to exactly do what he's saying. He's just in the way. All right, so I just wanted to get that stuff out first, and talk to you about one of my partners sponsors. This one is obviously Lear Capital. I've done so much. Is it Lear? Is that what we're talking about right now? So I don't have a producer here, so I have to be the one to click buttons and stuff. Give me a second here, because I had the wrong button queued up. But I can't do the things I do, A, without you guys, and B, without certain sponsors. So let me talk to you about, hold on. I'll be right back. Hold on.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Hey, so what happened was I was talking to you guys, and as I was talking to you, SB was texting me about the Mondami meeting. He says Mondami went with Trump in the White House today, secret surprise visit. I guess the focus was on housing in New York City. I'm going to be talking about housing once I have Scott Turner's interview edited. So I'm going to hold off on that whole thing because, man, that is some breakthrough stuff. He basically, no, he didn't basically. He said I was right. Not these other people who are talking about this affordable housing BS. He goes, Barry, that is the solution. So I'm going to tell you the solution. Probably by Monday, we can have Scott Turner's interview all set. But it's no secret. If you've been listening to me talk, I've said many times the housing dilemma is fake. Anybody, literally anybody, almost to the point of fogging a mirror, you could get a mortgage. If you have a job, if you have a decent credit score, you can get a house. And so I said to him, I know I'm off track here. I said to him, then you got a messaging issue because people are beating you up on saying housing is unaffordable when it's not. I will say that till I'm blue in the face. Housing is not. We don't have an affordability issue. We have a shopping issue. We got people going into Macy's when they should be shopping in the dollar store. But other than that, that's the issue. And he and I went through it. I'm like, I know, bro. I've been telling people that's the problem. It's messaging and entitlement. And I was so happy when he said, because these people feel entitled. I'm like, you're damn right. That's the problem. They drive down the beach and go, I want to live there. No. You need a house out by 95, by the highway. You get less 2-1, and you and your other can start there. Anyway, it was Brightcore I'm supposed to talk to you about. Okay. Early onset dementia and Alzheimer's are on the rise. Reports show a 373% increase in diagnoses amongst 30 to 44-year-olds and 311% increase in 45 to 54-year-olds in the United States in recent years. When doctors treat brain diseases, they often focus on medicating the brain itself, addressing symptoms instead of the root cause, which is usually chronic inflammation and oxidative stress. These factors damage brain cells and lead to a buildup of toxic proteins, the hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. But like much of the body, many brain issues trace back to the gut microbiome. There is a direct communication line between your gut and your brain. The gut-brain axis, where gut bacteria influences inflammation, your mood, your memory, and your cognitive function. There he is. Dr. Oz is talking right now. That's why what you eat matters so much. Now, I understand, we're going to be talking about a lot about food in the next couple of days. In this study, they found out that kimchi contains over 900 probiotic strains, and studies show its bioactive compounds help reduce inflammation, protect brain cells, and even improve memory and cognitive function by preventing amyloid beta plaque buildup. That's why Brightcore created Kimchi One. It delivers all the benefits of real kimchi in convenient capsules. No taste, no smell, virtually no sodium, made in the USA, and it's completely non-GMO. You can get some Kimchi One yourself just by going right here. See it on the screen. You can get an exclusive offer by clicking the link in the description for 25% off your entire order. Or for an even better deal, call my friends at Brightcore for up to 50% off your order and free shipping. Give them a call now at 888-418-6738. And when I tell you that they are my friends, I am not saying that as an advertisement. Robin and I both take their products, this one and Revive, and also Fortify. And I can tell you, the Revive, I don't know if I could have made it in Washington walking around if I didn't have that Revive in me. That Revive really helped me, feel revived after all that walking. All right, so this far into the show, let's actually get into what we were talking about, shall we? Let's listen in on something you heard on Tuesday.
If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. These people are crazy. But surely we can all agree no state can be allowed to rip children from their parents' arms and transition them to a new gender against the parents' will. Who would believe that we've been talking about this? We must ban it, and we must ban it immediately. Look, nobody stands up. These people are crazy, I'm telling you. They're crazy. Amazing. Boy, oh boy. We're lucky we have a country. With people like this, Democrats are destroying our country, but we've stopped it just in the nick of time, didn't we?
When you hear that, as you all heard that on Tuesday night, I'm not sure if everybody understands that their intent was, or someone's intent was indeed for them to destroy America. There is so many different things that we talked about with some of the people, the fraud that they're uncovering. Let me just tell you this, from what I've talked to certain people, and they talked about the amount of fraud, there is no way people should be saying anything negative about Pam Bondi. In fact, I don't even want to hear your anti-Pam Bondi crap, because you have no idea how much fraud is being uncovered on almost a daily basis. If everything people on the rhinos and black pillars are worried about is Epstein, they're facilitating the demise of America. There, I said it. If you're focusing on Epstein, you are facilitating the end of the country as you know it. Because all you're doing is having Pam Bondi and her office take their focus away from stuff that needs to be fixed right now. You ever go into an emergency room after an accident or anything else, or if you see a disaster? There are people sick everywhere. There are things that need to be attended to everywhere. But what do they take first in triage? You see, I can only do so many. I can only help so many people. But I have to take the ones who have open wounds, who are bleeding profusely. Maybe they're not breathing. Maybe their heart stopped. You over there with the broken ankles and stuff, yeah, we're going to get to you. But I have to do triage first. And every single one of those black pillars who are pushing the Epstein stuff are causing other things to suffer. Yeah, I said it because I actually got to talk to these people. And I heard, I'm like, how in the hell is Pam Bondi going to do all of this in this limited period of time? And meanwhile, we got people on our side who use Twitter. Oh, she sucks. She's not doing anything. They have no friggin' idea. None. None. I'll prove it to you in a little while. And when I show it to you, I mean, even with Nick Shirley on television and stuff he's been doing, it's like everything, every corner you turn around, there's crime and corruption happening that's directly affecting you or somebody you know. Epstein isn't affecting you, maybe emotionally, but it's doing nothing. All this other stuff that's just a deluge of crap. That's what we need to be focused on. We get this stuff fixed, then we go better with America. And the first thing is these Democrats are doing everything possible, some of them, whoever's telling them to just object, deflect, get in front of, prohibit, throw roadblocks, everything they possibly can because they know they're on the clock. You see, this Epstein thing has been going on for what, 20 years? Who knows how long? Nobody did anything forever. And now somebody's like, no, let's take care of this stuff. I'm like, ooh, let's run the clock on him. Let's see what we can do. And so we're not going to stand up. And I'm pretty sure what you have just seen, because it was an ad that came out, you lived through the contrast, which is a word I've used for quite some time. And now people who have a brain looked at that and said, you didn't even want to stand because American the man said American citizens should be a priority. Your number one job is to what? Serve and protect Americans, and you couldn't stand for that. I don't think they saw that was coming. And the other thing I want to tell you, President Trump's got massive cojones. You see, that was a dice roll. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know if he ad-libbed it, but he rolled the dice. Barry, why do you say that? Because it could have blown up in his face. He or whoever wrote the speech and however they crafted it, I think he was surprised. I think these people are crazy was the reaction to what he actually saw. These people are freaking nuts. Because imagine what would have happened if he said, stand with me if you agree that, protecting Americans is job number one. And look over there and they all stood up. Game over. No place to go. Nobody would have been talking about it. Oh, okay. They got that. But I think it shocked even him. So when they sat in their brain trust meeting, hey, we're going to go with this. You think they're really going to sit down? I don't think they'll stand up, boss. No way. They got to stand up. No, they won't stand up, boss. And when he saw him sit down, these people are nuts. I'm surprised he didn't swear. Because I know in his core he wanted to say, these people are effing nuts. And I'm here to tell you, these people are effing nuts. J.D. Vance did a quick speech today in Wisconsin, and he had this to say.
And to my right is some Republicans, but mostly the Democrats. And so I see the reaction of all the congressional Democrats, and it's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. So you say, like, for example, you had this beautiful little girl had such a sweet moment with her dad. You may have remembered. She was probably 6 years old. She had been assaulted by an illegal immigrant. She had had a very bad, I think, medical prognosis, but it turned out that she was okay. This 6-year-old girl hurt by a human being who never should have been in this country in the first place, who was led into this country by Joe Biden and the Democrats. and she's hugging her dad, and she's so excited, and you can tell, and I think everybody's heart feels very, you get that warm and fuzzy feeling, and then I look over the congressional Democrats, and they're just scowling. They cannot clap their hands for a 6-year-old who survived an attack from an illegal alien. What is that?
It's craziness. It's insanity. And as I saw somebody said they had a copy of the speech and it wasn't written in there. I think it even shocked them to the core. Some of the people in the administration who we spoke to in the cabinet, they were shocked. They thought it was a no-brainer. What did SB text me now? Your clips are very loud. Okay, I will adjust that. But in any event, I think they were shocked. I think that they saw how bad things really are. You and me, I don't care if it's a Democrat. I wouldn't want to see a Democrat little girl abused. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to see a Democrat woman have something. I wouldn't want to see a Democrat guy have something done to them by an illegal. Of course, let's protect everybody. Let's protect all Americans. We all agree on that, don't we? What do you mean? How do you speak to people when you don't have that shred of commonality? If you don't have the commonality to even be able to speak to someone about safety, an American safety, if you guys who put your hand on the Bible and got elected, if we don't have that commonality, what the hell do we have? We're done. At this point, military, Andrew Jackson, Insurrection Act, which I don't think is going to happen now after what I've talked to these people. I don't know what we're going to do. They're not doing anything. And we don't even have the commonality to stand together and say, you know what? We're Americans. We deserve to make sure all Americans are taken care of first. Nope. No, we can't go there. Hold on. All right, let's continue. I'll turn it down a little bit.
What kind of a person can't stand up and cheer for an innocent young girl who's doing well, who's showing the entire country strength and resilience? And then the president had this line. I'm not going to get it exactly right, but he said, if you believe, stand up and cheer if you believe that the American government's first priority should be to look after American citizens instead of illegal aliens. And all the Republicans, including Derek and everybody else, stands up and starts cheering. And then you look over the Democrats. Complete silence, no reaction at all. The one thing that got at least some of the Democrats to stand up and cheer was the Olympic hockey team, which we're of course very proud of. But you got to ask yourself, ladies and gentlemen, what is it about a political party that cannot stand up and cheer for a 6-year-old girl who survived an attack? What is it about a political party that can't stand up and cheer for the fact that we have rising wages and low inflation for the first time in a very long time in the United States of America? What is it about a political movement that sees the mother of a woman who was murdered on a bus? Because the president highlighted this woman, her 22-year-old daughter was riding on a bus to work, was killed by a violent criminal who was let out of jail 13 times by Democrat leadership, should have never been on our streets, and then murdered an innocent girl. We recognized her mother, her strength and her character and her grief. And I think we all kind of grieve with her a little bit, and the Democrats cannot even stand up and cheer for that. And so the question of the next election is not, do we want low taxes? And of course we do. It's not, do we want a secure border? And of course we do. It's a more fundamental question than that. Do we want to give power back to the people who opened our border, who raised your taxes, who won't even cheer for a 6-year-old girl who was wounded because of their bad policies? And I think our answer to that is hell no. We want to give power back to the people like Derek Van Orden who fight for us.
It really is a pretty simple contrast at this point. I could see the entire election and even in 2028 completely shift because of that one moment, or actually two moments. You didn't want to stand up for American safety, and you didn't want to stand up for people. This poor woman was crying. You know, for us, it might have been a couple months ago. For her, it's yesterday. Her young daughter was just on a train heading home, and some guy decides he wants to take her. Done. And they couldn't even have the decency, the common decency, to clap for her in her moment of grief. It became insane. And so now we can clearly see the contrast is what the election of 2026 is going to be. You want these people who have just now declared that you don't matter as an American? Is that who you want in charge? Because if that's true, then you're telling us you're communist, you're socialist. Unbelievable.
No man should ever enter where we are going. Beware what lurks in the depths of the libtard zone.
I'm a mother. I am a physician, and I have a flag. And I am the proud representative for Oregon's 3rd Congressional District. Yes, thank you, thank you. And tonight, I defy Trump and his authoritarian project by standing in joyful, radical, peaceful resistance with the Portland Frog Brigade.
The Portland Frog Brigade. That's what she just talked about. The Portland Frog Brigade. This was their counter messaging to the State of the Union. This is what they wanted to show everybody. This is what we are like. We're in trouble. I mean, libtard zone or not, this is what they planned to show America. This is our movement.
I'm fresh out of an ICE prison in Minneapolis. I've been arrested 3 times by ICE over absurdity, over us being ourselves, over me singing songs like, "Hey, Mr. Tangerine Man, get rid of brown people for me. I'm Aryan white, there ain't no place I'm going to." And then all of a sudden, he's not ready for primetime player ICE agents.
President Trump was 100% correct. These people are crazy. You want these people? I don't want them watching my dogs. I don't want them in my neighborhoods. This is who they are counting on. That is the America that they support. That is the America that they feel we should be embracing. Furries? Contrast, the word I'm going to continue to use now through the election. Hey, what do you want? Oh, we want safer America. What do you want? Furries. We want mass immigration. We want higher taxes. How can we be in this situation? The only way we can be in this situation is that people in Congress aren't doing their jobs.
With 2 weeks of training, come after me. I got arrested in Portland. I got arrested in Minneapolis in the last 3 weeks twice. But they can't erase a movement, all right?
The only movement this guy looks like is one that, a bowel movement, because he's full of crap. But the scary part is that there's people in the audience cheering. They're looking at a guy in a furry outfit and they're cheering. And what's scarier is the Democrats thought that this was going to be inspirational to people that vote for them. Over here, you got a guy talking about all the things that America wants: safety, prosperity, lower taxes, end of corruption, ending mass migration. And the contrast is this.
What I went through is 1/1000th of a lot of marginalized people and what they have to go through in those ICE detention centers. And I want to tell you something right now. There's an announcement. Pumpkin Spice Satan is making his way to the State of the Union. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to rev up the show right now. We're giving out prizes. We're going to have bingo. We're going to...
He said bingo. We're going to give out prizes and bingo. We got the hockey team who won a gold medal, and you're going to have bingo for furries as the counter messaging to the President of the United States. Who thought this was a good idea? Who thought hosting these events was going to make people go, yeah, I want some of that. I need to be a part of this.
From the White House with love and compassion.
Yeah, the cult-like behavior of my...
I had to put those two clips back to back. He just said, we are cult-like. We just watched a man in a furry cheetah outfit, or I think it was, talking about Mr. Tambourine Man, Orange Tambourine Man, and giving out bingo cards and really going after us because we don't want illegals here, but we're the cult. Yeah, okay.
Colleagues on the other side of the aisle is a complete and total abdication of their responsibility to conduct themselves like a separate and co-equal branch of government. But what we've seen repeatedly from these folks is that they regularly bend the knee to Donald Trump and behave like they are nothing more than reckless rubber stamps for Donald Trump's extreme agenda.
Extreme agenda. So just want you to understand extreme agenda. Making sure that Americans are safe is an extreme agenda. Extreme. Making sure that, we don't pay taxes that are not going to be corrupted and stolen. That's an extreme agenda. The fact that he's trying to, lessen taxes, fix the budget so you guys don't need money here, and that's an extreme agenda that pretty much every household in the country goes through. They look to, where can I save money? I'm getting ready to go on vacation. I can allocate this much money. We all have to do that on a daily basis. That's an extreme agenda. What he's talking about and what the Democrats are talking about is a single agenda. Notice, this must be kind of weird for a lot of Democrat women. When's the last time you've turned on television or looked on X? I mean, you'll hear it in October, but when's the last time you've heard the word baby removal word? When's the last time you've heard any of them talk about it? None. Their number one agenda, bar none. Nothing else matters. Not your safety, not your finances. Nothing else matters than getting as many illegals in the country as possible. So now the battle lines are very clear. The contrast is there for everybody to see. There is nothing else. I don't want to hear about the Epstein stuff. The contrast right now is they want everybody in the country, and they don't give a shit about your safety or your finances. Period.
Tonight was not America's State of the Union. It was Donald Trump's state of delusion. For 2 long hours, the president stood in the House chamber congratulating himself, inflating his own ego, but offering no solutions to our country's many problems.
You see, after talking to some of these people, I kind of believe that's what Chucky and Hakeem actually think, because they don't think that saving your money, corruption, taxes, or your safety is an actual problem. The problem is you make too much money. The problem is there are people who don't have any, so they need to take it from you. The problem is we need to get as many people in this country as possible. When they say he doesn't address the problems, Those are the problems they're talking about. Just remember that contrast. They're not talking about you. We can't do this. We need to have more of these people here. We need to take more of your money to pay for them.
He's in a bubble. He doesn't even have a clue about what the average American family is going through. Donald Trump patted himself on the back so many times, I thought he'd fall down.
What would an immigration deal look like between Republicans and Democrats in the Senate?
Well, we had a good model in 2013, as you may remember, bipartisan. John McCain and I headed the Gang of Eight. We had 4 Democrats.
I think using John McCain as your staple, right there, we all know. Oh no, you mentioned no name. You mentioned this guy who shall not be named anymore, and that's the guy you're saying is bipartisan. Okay, so Chuck, even with no name, what exactly is it now, today in 2026, you think is the most pressing issue that needs to happen for America?
Democrats, 4 Republicans, including Marco Rubio, who's now gone to the other side on this. But we could come up with a bill like that. It toughens up the border. It gives a path to citizenship, a long, tough path to citizenship for 11 million people who are here.
That's the issue. He just said it. I was in that rotunda. We were walking around up in there. That's what he said. Our number one thing that we need to do is make 11 million people citizens. I'm sorry. It's not about making people safe. Nope. It's not about helping people pay less in taxes. Nope. It's not about lower gas prices or food prices. Nope. So what exactly is the thing you're looking for? Yeah, we need to have 11 million illegals made to be citizens, not admitted to be made citizens. You need hold on. Let me just let you hear that again, because that is the most pressing problem as far as they're concerned.
But we could come up with a bill like that. It toughens up the border. It gives a path to citizenship, a long, tough path to citizenship for 11 million people who are here.
That's not a tight border. That means you did what you needed to do simply to get them in and make them citizens. Now you know. You may have known before this, but now you know for sure. If all the things that's wrong in America, what's the number one thing we need to do? We need to make 11, and what he said was 11 million or whatever number it is. He doesn't even know because he doesn't even care. Point of order, Mr. Schumer. And you want all those 11 million people to be able to vote, right? With no ID, right? Yeah. That's what they want. And then you're done. You're absolutely, completely done.
What did you think about that moment when the president was asking Democrats to stand up for American citizens during that part of the speech when he was talking about immigration and immigration enforcement efforts?
All right, I want you in the chat right now before she speaks. I want you to look at her again. Boom. Excuse me. I want you. He just asked her, what did you think when they asked you guys to stand up for people that want to be safe? What did you think about it? What do you think her answer is going to be? Well, if you guessed racism, I don't know how she got that, but that's where she goes.
I agree with the what, like standing up for American citizens, but I disagree with the how. And so it's always about how do we bring our country together, but not stand on the backs of others. There's thinly veiled racist language, anti-immigrant language in what he was asking, and that.
There you go. A black woman said it was racist and anti-immigrant because they're not immigrants, they're illegals, anti-illegals, because he said Americans should come first. We don't like it. It's anti-immigrant, and we can't have any of that because it's exclusion. You're not being diverse. You're only making it about America. Isn't that where you're an electorate elected congressperson. You're elected for America. You're elected from Oregon to be an American congressperson. Why the hell are you worried about what the immigrants think? They're not your constituency. But now you're seeing that contrast become quite clear. One man's talking about saving America, and they're talking about tearing it down because we have to have all these you-know-whos.
That was uncomfortable.
So what I will say to Representative Al Green, if you can hear me, I'm so...
Okay, I had to hear this. I had to enter the libtard zone, so you have to as well. I'm sorry this may be a little bit uncomfortable the next 30 to 90 seconds. But in order to even underscore what President Trump said when he said, these people are crazy. You've seen the man in the leopard suit, and you've heard about the cult, and you heard about, hey, 11, 20 million, doesn't matter, we let them all come in. And it's racist to, just think we should uphold American. Now they've divulged into a whole different aspect. They're singing about a man who brought a sign to the State of the Union that said, black people rent apes. I'm sorry, no? Oh, black people aren't apes. Surely look like black people rent apes. You guys have seen the picture. But that was a big deal to them. He's my hero. I'm going to break out in song for the man who brought a black people aren't apes sign to the State of the Union. That's important to you, huh? Okay. Enjoy.
And come on. Here it go. Keep it going. Whatever you... Whoo! It's all right with me. They cannot imprison us all.
Everybody get some. They cannot. Oh, this is good stuff.
Imprison us all. They cannot imprison us all. No pueden encarcelarnos a todas. No pueden encarcelarnos a todas.
I have one question. I would love to know from the people who plan this event. You spent some time putting together the entertainment, and I would just like to know why these people were not invited. That woman has been immortalized, and she wasn't invited to the anti-State of the Union rally. Oh, I can't tell you why.
Long stretches of the speech that were essentially sort of violence porn. He talked.
How stupid do you have to be to listen to these people? Violent porn. Violence porn. That's what Rachel Maddow was saying to her audience after the State of the Union was over. There was violence porn. Anybody? Can anybody define violence porn? Oh, she's going to.
Talked about people being covered in blood, gushing blood, blood pouring out of things. He talked about people being on the edge of death. He went into graphic detail.
Hey, Rachel, you have any context what he was talking about? I don't know, maybe illegal killing people? Little white girl's neck being slashed on a train with blood everywhere, but you're just focusing on the blood was the issue. Oh, he talked about blood and people bleeding. How are they bleeding? What caused them to bleed, Rachel? You have to be, oh, wait, never mind. As President Trump says, I'm going to have to clip that. These people are crazy. Absolutely crazy.
On a number of different people's injuries of various kind. And in those moments, he slowed down, ad-libbed a lot, and tried to give seemingly as much sort of gory detail as he could, talking about very bloody scenes.
MSNBC or whatever they are, it's literally romper room. Oh, it's very gory. It's really bad. You know what? You know who thought it was really gory? Her mom. her mom who had to watch the video over and over of her daughter being slashed, or, you know, another woman who had to watch what they did to her kid. You know, I'm pretty sure they found it to be kind of gory. And the only reason you may be finding it gory right now, Democrats, libtards, is because your people never reported on it. And so with 30 million people watching the State of the Union on television, I guess they haven't even counted online, it became news to some people. Oh, it's a little bit too much for us. Oh, no.
No matter what number of people battled through that nearly 2-hour speech, it's still going to be his largest audience of the year. And if you're sitting in a White House before a speech for any president, you're thinking about a couple things. How does the president use that speech to give a message to not just the people in the chamber, but his political allies out there about what they should be talking about, what the agenda is, what the winning message is? And Trump decided to double down on things that are hugely unpopular. I mean, to your point, it was like a 3-part speech. There was the gross, violent pornography part of it.
I broadcast the entire speech. Not once did the words pornography jump into my, oh man, that sounds really violently pornographic. It makes no sense. Because what they're defending here, when you get into the core, what they're defending is illegals. It's pornographic, it's violent. You know, he talked about some other stuff we don't really give a shit about. No, we don't care. But he said some stuff about illegals. Oh, that's gross.
Was the circus entertainer part where he was bringing out unrelated people in vignettes. And then there was a part that was policy-ish.
Everybody in that room yesterday, all the members of Congress took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And the president's speech was just very performative. And one of the things, most performative things that he tried to do was to kind of like put a thing on Democrats when he said, like, are you going to, everybody, if you think you should be supporting American citizens over illegal immigrants, stand up. You know, that's wrong, right? And everybody on that side who stood up knows it's wrong.
It's wrong to point out that people who want to stand for Americans, it's wrong. You should not want to have America first. You should not want citizens to be safe. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. But not as unbelievable as this clip.
I was there, and it was as horrific as I thought it would be.
Did you leave early?
Absolutely.
It was like an award show. You get a medal. You get a medal. You get a medal.
That's literally, Mo just said, you get a car, you get a car. Y'all are on the same page.
I believe the medals went out to a couple people who were shot. The National Guard guy that got shot in Washington, D.C. The parents of the National Guard woman who got shot and killed in Washington, D.C. I believe it went out to a couple of veterans, one of which was 100 years old. Erica Kirk, whose husband was assassinated, and they're laughing about it. It is a joke to them. How do you coexist with people who consider murder and a celebration of people who survived as being just a joke? It's just a joke. Then at the same time, the American hockey team gets medals, and they're showing themselves to be American supporters, not just Trump supporters, American supporters, and they're freaking out. These people can't be expected to ever coexist with with normal people ever again. Ever again. It's that bad. It's that bad. Hey, let me talk to you guys real quick about Chapter. I love Chapter because I am not just talking about them as a partner, I am actually a customer. I know Medicare is confusing. As someone who recently turned 65, I can confirm this myself. Keeping track of enrollment periods, understanding all of your options, and making sure you're on the right plan takes too much time and energy. And between Medicare scams, corrupt agents, and bloated insurance companies, it's easy to make mistakes that can cost you thousands. That's why I'm happy I call Chapter. They're actually honest, and the only company, only Medicare advisor that looks at every single plan nationwide, helping people save an average of $1,100 per year. People are relieved when they talk to Chapter. Even people here in the chat have talked to Chapter. I know, we talk about you can save money, but if you want a better plan, they can help you with that as well. These guys won't push you to buy a plan you don't want, and their support is completely free. So if you're turning 65 soon or have questions about your Medicare coverage, call them at 475-328-3545 to get the most out of Medicare. Most people wish they just called sooner. Or you can go to the website askchapter.org/Barry as well. I'll be back in 90 seconds.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
So one of the things that I've said to you earlier and continue to say is, again, contrast. And it becomes even clearer because after that amazing State of the Union, where President Trump just laid it all out there about America, not just America first, America only. We're talking about the Western Hemisphere. We're talking about the Trump Doctrine. We're talking about making sure that America is taken care of, that America is prosperous, that America is safe. And you saw the libtard zone where a bunch of those libtard nuts were in there, and everything they were talking about was, newcomers. Well, I'm going to give you the cherry on top where you actually have the proof of that right now, that that's their own cause. That's it. Nothing else matters. After the State of the Union, they always get a chance to do a rebuttal. And they put out Cruella DeVille from Virginia, the new governor there, Spanberger, and she comes out and she decides she's going to, well, not decided. Somebody said this CIA agent, the governor of Virginia would end up doing the rebuttal. And with everything going on in America, what do you think she did the rebuttal on? I'm sure you didn't watch it because nobody wants to torture themselves this way, but you would think there's so many items that we could all be talking about in America. What did she discuss as the number one thing?
And yet, our president has sent poorly trained federal agents into our cities, where they have arrested and detained American citizens and people who aspire to be Americans. And they have done it without a warrant. They have ripped nursing mothers away from their babies. They have sent children, a little boy in a blue bunny hat, children to far-off detention centers, and they have killed American citizens in our streets.
That's their rebuttal. I can't help. That's just what they decided they were going to do. real quick, people are still talking about the levels and things. Hey, it's my first day back here. I'm not sure if it's YouTube or whatever, but I've got green on mine, so everything seems to be good. We'll figure it out. But this was their rebuttal. All the things in America, and the one things the Democrats wanted to underscore was ICE. That's it. They don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about America. They're proving it with every fiber of their being. You don't matter. What's the biggest thing we need to talk about? ICE and immigration.
And they have done it all with their faces masked from accountability. Every minute spent sowing fear is a minute not spent investigating murders, crimes against children, or the criminals defrauding seniors of their life savings. Our president told us tonight that we are safer because these agents arrest mothers and detain children. Think about that.
Oh, I'm thinking about it. I hold on here. Yeah, I'm safer. You know why? Because they're not coming after Americans. Unless, of course, you're stupid enough to try and ram a car at one or pull a gun on one. Other than that, I think none of us have a problem. It's not a big American problem. The only people who are going to have a problem are people who aren't supposed to be here. But those are the people you want to protect most. You have taken, let me just put it this way, even if what she said was twisted to, be how she expects. Let's say that, they did kill 2 people. Let's give it to her. Yep, they messed up and they killed 2 people. Can we gonna agree on that? Okay. How many people have illegals killed? Since we're talking 2 people, how many people on the other side have been killed because people who aren't supposed to be here? You have that in your speech somewhere? Because, it's pretty simple. He says we want to talk about killings, but they don't want to go there. The people who watch this stuff think the government has been so bad and it matters so much. She didn't mention that she took office in Virginia and within 30 days raised their taxes out the wazoo. She didn't mention that New York and Mondami being back at the White House, you know what he was doing there, don't you? He was begging for help. What the Democrats have to offer can't be done. All they want to do is steal from you, steal from me, and then cry that they're not stealing more from us. They wouldn't need to steal if it weren't for the fact that they're trying to either scam other, well, how can I say this? Actually getting money in their own pockets as well. All the way back to USAID, with all these different things being turned off, they can't work. They can't do anything they want to do. And so now nothing matters other than keeping the flow of newcomers. Interesting, something else she said. She talked about, her words, not mine, newborn babies being ripped away from their nursing mothers. So now we're also worried about babies. Again, these people are so hypocritical, you can't even think straight. You would think that she's mom of the year. Oh, I can't believe that a mom was taken away from her baby. Who has been promoting the baby removals for decades? Nothing what they say makes sense. And again, I believe you guys have to be there to understand this giant hypnotism that they're trying to pull on Americans, and it's worked on a whole bunch of people. It has worked.
Our broken immigration system is something to be fixed, not an excuse for unaccountable agents to terrorize our communities.
This, I think, is so...
That was the Democrat response to an amazing State of the Union. Oh, you're terrorizing communities. Guess what? I got home last night and I felt really safe. I came over to the office this morning and I felt really safe. I found out I left the back door open. No problem. Nobody's terrorizing people. Pretty sure every single one of you can say, hey, Fred, you getting terrorized? Nope, not being terrorized. You have such a small percentage of people who give a crap about what you're talking about, and you're trying to make it like it's the big deal. I'll go back to what Elon Musk said. Here we go. This is what is happening throughout America. The mainstream media and the Democrats and some rhinos, their job is to make you think the views of 10% of the country are actually the views of 90% of the country. There's no other way that can be true because you're listening to them. They're like, well, no, I'm not being terrorized. But they're convincing people that people somewhere are being terrorized. Some unaware, but we got to stop Trump. Fortunately, very fortunately, it's not working.
Important to note, after all the events in Los Angeles, after all the events in Minneapolis, after all the events of the last year on immigration, can Democrats actually take advantage on this issue? And a look at the polling suggests actually no, they're in a worse position than they were at this point during Donald Trump's first term. Take a look here. Show us which party more on immigration. In 2018, Democrats had an edge of about 6 points. You come over to this side of the screen now, look at that. Republicans are the ones who actually have an edge on immigration. So
that's by simple math, that's an 11-point swing. Your immigration plan of bringing all these people in, and Chuck Schumer saying we need to give like 10 or 20 million people, let's make them a path to citizenship. Americans are saying, hell no. We don't want what you're selling. Again, these people cannot win.
The whole idea that Democrats are going to be able to take advantage of the immigration group, of the immigration issue, actually doesn't bear itself out in the polling, despite everything that's been going on. In fact, Democrats are in worse position than they were during Donald Trump's first term.
Yeah, maybe they don't like what Donald Trump, the president, is doing, but they don't think Democrats will do a better job.
Correct. They think Democrats will do a worse job on immigration than Republicans.
All right, what about border security in general?
Okay, border security in general. So this is immigration at large. What about border security? Look at this. Look at these numbers. Hello, party trusted more in border security. Again, at this point, Trump's terms. Look at this. In 2018, Republicans had a 13-point advantage. If anything, the advantage is a little bit larger now. Republicans up by 15 points. So when you put it all together, you put immigration with border security and the idea that Democrats will be able to take the ball and run away on it, the polling data suggests no. This is actually an issue that Republicans should be more comfortable running on than Democrats. Democrats running on immigration may actually be to the Republicans' advantage.
What about when
so obviously nobody told them. That's the problem. Oh, I clicked a button and my mic changed. So testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3. That's much better. I solved the problem. I hadn't been sitting here for a week and I've solved the problem. Oh my gosh. Let me give myself a little bit of applause. I was looking at all the things while he was talking. I'm like, are the inputs correct? And I happened to look down and see one of the inputs was wrong. And so I had to fix it. So everything should be fine right now. See, I'm just a little bit rusty from sitting here. Anyway, let's get back to the show. Trump gives a State of the Union, does a fantastic job, says what he needs to say. They counter with libtardery and furries and all kinds of things. And then they counter it with only about immigration, which now we know they're losing on. So why would losers continue to want to lose? Why do they want to be a losing party? Is somebody telling them this is what you have to do? Were they getting paid by the cartel? I don't know. But if the polls, even on CNN, or which means it's probably even higher, if the CNN polling says, hey, you guys are in trouble, you might want to change this, and they didn't change, that goes back to what Ashley was saying earlier when she posted this, and I actually don't have it, but where it was, Somewhere, somebody is telling these people, don't do the right thing, which is also kind of scary.
Compare President Trump with former President Biden.
Yeah, okay. So, we speak about President Trump's approval rating, right, on immigration not being as high as it once was. But I'll tell you who the heck it's a lot higher than at this point in his term, and that's the predecessor, Joe Biden. Look at this, approval on immigration at this point in presidency. Biden was at just 34%. Donald Trump looks a whole heck of a lot better when you compare him to the alternative at 45%. And this, I think, is the big takeaway from this segment, which is you can't just look at something in isolation. You have to compare it to the alternative. And in this particular case, when you take a look at immigration and you compare Republicans to the alternative Democrats, this is an issue that Republicans should really like, and President Trump should like the comparison to Joe Biden.
It's interesting. It may be that it's not as bad as a lot of people would like to think for Democrats, but it might be bad. The Republicans may not be as high as they were a couple years ago.
Correct. They're not necessarily as high as they were during Joe Biden's term, but they are much higher than they were during what I think is the correct comparison, which is during Donald Trump's first term.
Very good, Harriet, and thank you very much for that explanation.
So if, as he said, you can't do this in isolation, you have to run a comparison. You have to see, quote, the contrast. That's what I've been saying. And so you're going to see, in my estimation, that the Democrats are going to have to pull back. Maybe behind the scenes at first, but they're going to have to pull back because it's not working. Even the pundits can't go out there and support this because they get the same data. And they're like, he's talking about saving America, and we're talking about destroying America. It's going to be an easy contrast. It's going to be easy for people to understand. What happened Tuesday night? I just want to make sure you get this. I'm not insulting, but I want you to really focus on this. They drew the real short straw. They have made it very easy as of today for Americans to sit back and look which side. One single issue. I believe, unless something changes, one single issue is going to decide the midterms, and it ain't Epstein. You got one side saying, I want to help America. I want to make America great again. I want you to pay less taxes. I want you to be safe. I want you to be prosperous. And the other side saying, none of that shit matters. We need more illegals. They've reduced it to a single issue election that I guarantee you, having talked to people this past couple of days, they are going to ram that home. Hey, listen, they don't care. None of them cares. What do they care about? They care about, bringing more people in. Nothing. And so now we have our marching orders, per se. It is going to be a single issue election unless these people can change. You watch how much they begin ramping up the Epstein stuff. You watch how they shift very quickly. Epstein! Epstein! They've got nothing else they can run on. Grocery prices. Nope. Oh, one of the things in terms of, I forget which person, I talked to so many people, and I'm like, oh, it was Chris Wright. I had an interview with Chris Wright from the Department of Energy. And when talking to Chris Wright, he's talking about this, he's talking about that. And I said to him, I flew up here. I came from Boca. Things people say are expensive here, but our gas is like $2.70, $2.80. And I'm driving or heading in the back of the car, heading towards the Capitol. I look over, and the gas price was $5.65 in Washington, D.C. And I thought to myself, how is this pen the same as the other pen, but it costs so much more? Already knowing the answer. Being like a lawyer, you already know the answer to the question before you ask it. Well, that's easy, Barry. The states are doing it. And I thought back, I've told you guys many times, when you go to get gas, ask your attendant, how much is the gas and how much are they tacking on? And he went through the entire litany of, they tacked. There's one thing, let me just jump ahead and tell you this interview. If you haven't seen it, it's going to be in the cut. But they fly a plane with a nuclear reactor. I don't know if you've seen it. I showed it a couple, before last week. And it had a nuclear reactor, and this nuclear reactor has enough power. It fits inside of a plane, and it has enough power to power 5,000 houses. The company who built that power plant is in California. They're not allowed to use it in California. So they're shipping power to other locations because the thing that can power 5,000 homes and lower electric prices, they can't even use it in their home state. At which point I said to him, Scout's honor, Ashley was sitting right next to me, then why aren't you people telling people this? Yeah, we have you got a huge messaging problem. If you're not out there telling people, go to your gas station and ask them how much the price of gas is, and then understand how your states are screwing you. If you don't know to go and ask your grocery store, hey, listen, why are these Oreos so expensive? Is this what Oreo costs? Hey, my friend in Florida says Oreos down there cost like $2 cheaper. How is that? We got to pay more taxes. We have to pay more electric to keep the cold food cold, and we can't use this kind of power. So everything gets bumped up. And I'm like, and I told him, you guys need to stop. Seriously, you need to stop and start telling people this. They're beating you on it because the first thing they say, well, I told them here in the chat, people are like, my gas prices ain't gone down. My gas prices are still high. And I tell them all the time, you need to go check what your state's doing. The states, especially the blue states, are doing everything possible so that your visual, your optics at the gas tank, your optics in the grocery store, your optics at the mall are more expensive so that they can blame it on Trump because people don't know. You'd be surprised if you haven't done it yet. Very simple. Walk into the gas station. Hey, sign out there says $4 for gas. How much is the actual price of the gas? 30 cents. What? What'd you say? Yeah, the gas is only 30. They used to post it. I remember in high school, you used to be able to see, here's your gas and here are your taxes. They made them take it off the gas pumps. But if you knew how much your gas actually costs versus all the taxes they put on top of it, then you would realize Trump's doing what he's supposed to do. Even in Washington, D.C., he can't control the D.C. In terms of what they tax on. Put on top. But the contrast is becoming very clear.
What the president did last night was draw. It was a night of contrasts. He drew the brightest lines you could draw between the two parties. And the trouble with subtlety is that not everyone gets it, and the president understands that. And when he goaded those Democrats to sit on their hands, and they couldn't even affirm that their highest duty
that wasn't subtle,
is to protecting the American people, when he got them to sit there and they wouldn't even stand up for that, he made the point, I'm for America, and I don't know what they are for, and that'll be the most unforgettable part of that speech.
We have made unforgettable. And so after the speech happened, and you can almost hear a buzz around Washington. I mean, literally a buzz. You go into the restaurant, they didn't know how to react because even CNN, and say, oh, well, that wasn't too bad, huh?
Here at the table, I want to bring the conversation back here to our group watching along. Major, you've seen a lot of these, I think, more than any of us. What stood out to you?
Well, look, before the speech, many Republicans said one of the priorities for the president was to make sure Americans after this speech had a sense that the opposition party was off the rails, was crazy, their terminology, not mine. Many of the contrasts the president...
Contrast. Remember, I've been saying that for quite some time. It is now becoming part of the vernacular of news because it's so clear. It's so very clear. Hey, what do you stand for? More illegals. What do you stand for? Taxes, all this different stuff. I mean, as soon as it happened, it changed the way forward, at least for the time being.
Articulated tonight were to drive that message forward, that not only do I disagree with the opposition party sitting before me in Congress, but I disagree with them so strongly and they with me so much that they can't even applaud basic common sense thing. And that line that you mentioned that he added to the speech, whether it was ad-libbed or not, the first obligation, American citizens versus illegal aliens, was meant to create a visual moment of perpetual contrast.
He also...
I love it. I love it. They're all using my word. I should be compensated for it. Contrast. I was so happy when I went back, like, you know, I do like a football thing and I watched the game film afterwards. So after I get back home, Robin and Ashley, not home, but back to the room, Ashley and Robin go to sleep. I'm sitting up watching CNN and I'm looking at the different stations. And I kept hearing contrast, the contrast, the contrast. And I'm like, I got to hammer that home with everybody because then you could actually begin talking to other people. It's so simple now. Hey, did you watch the State of the Union? Yeah, what'd you think? So what do the Democrats want? What do they want? They had a chance. They did a rebuttal. Well, okay.
Basically kept control of himself, which I think will be a great relief to his strategists and aides there. But the question, I mean, I think he did well from their perspective for the reasons that you say, John, and he used the gallery very skillfully to...
All right. I want to stop there for a second. I'm going to show you two clips back to back. And I want you to realize they're both on the same network, moments apart. And you can see David Axelrod, who's the Obama guy, is visibly concerned. He's an ardent strategist for politics. He knows they got caught with their pants down. Not only did they get caught with their pants down, they got caught with their underpants down. And it was a scary sight. And he knows that. Anybody who's astute political strategist knows we're like, oh man, oh, this is bad. We got to regroup really quick, but I don't think you can. See, that's the thing. I don't think they can come back because any counter argument that could possibly work is going to be towards Trump. And I mean, like, his policies. You're going to have to come out and say you want to see people be more prosperous. You're going to have to come out and say we want to see people pay less taxes, because otherwise there's nothing else for the Democrats to talk about. We all know in October they're going to talk about abortion again. I said it. We know it's coming. The race stuff ain't working. I mean, I'm not an ape. But, you know, some of these people think like apes. They're just saying the same thing over and over. What's his name? Corville, screaming about, you know, all the squad saying they're destroying their party. People are starting to recognize they're screwed. And unfortunately, the pivot is not going to be easy. Even David Axelrod gets caught here.
Kind of simulate empathy, which is a thing that he's been lacking. And that's sort of a surrogate for that. The question is, he started off the speech by saying, this is the turnaround for the ages. Right. And as you know, because you're traveling around the country, people don't think the direction is right. And I don't think this cured that. So we'll see. But I don't think a lot of the people who needed to be persuaded probably were watching this speech.
A few moments later. Among speech watchers tonight, 64% say his policies will move the U.S.
This is the same network. I don't think people who watch this are going to move the needle at all. We'll see. And literally moments later, I'm sitting there watching the screen going, you got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. Their own network, the guy just came on and said, I don't think this is going to move the needle. Well, the needle moved a lot.
In the right direction. And look at the growth President Trump made over the speech. So pre-speech, it was 54% of speech watchers said his policies will move the U.S. in the right direction. After the speech, that number goes up 10 percentage points. So Donald Trump made some progress with people watching the speech from their pre-speech expectations to what they saw in the speech.
But it wasn't President Trump. President Trump delivered the speech, even to his amazement. It's like throwing a fastball and realized the home run hitter was going to miss the ball and he struck out. He just drew a contrast. So people sitting at home, who he goes, I don't think it's going to move the needle at all. They're realizing now, not only did it move the needle stuck them right in the butt. They realize, I'm sure, in strategy rooms and sessions all over the place, how do we fix this? How do we, I don't know how you fix it. When's the next opportunity? It's too late. You can go out and do all the stump speeches you want, but you can't change your ideology. That's what they truly believe. How are you going to get Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and AOC and PayPal and Eric Swalwell and Ted Lieu? How are you going to get these people, Adam Schiff? How are you going to get them to pivot from something they've been trying to sell for the last year and a half? And you made the mistake by sitting down. You can't unwatch that. People are going to be reminded from now until November, which they should be, which you should be. I'll get a clip so you can just show it to all your friends. Hey, shouldn't you guys be standing for, Americans? Nobody? We all saw it. And the scariest part, this little 30 seconds is the scariest part of the whole night for the Democrats. People were talking about it the next day. That number of 64 by I think it was yesterday when I got on the plane, had risen to 75. CBS's poll said 75% of people said that it was good. The people who see it, they're done. That's it. We're done. Now we know. And Trump didn't have to do a damn thing. That's the best part about it. He didn't have to do an executive order. He didn't have to do anything. Hey, can you stand up if you support America? These people are nuts. That's it. That's all he had to do. Nothing else. It was probably the easiest political win in history. Simple. Stand your ass up if you're here to support and protect America. Nope. Gotcha. Game over. Nothing you can do at that point.
Itself. And that 64% number, that's pretty much in range across all of his State of the Union addresses. In his first term, last year, the joint session, that's about what we've seen. Is roughly 2/3 have walked away from his speeches thinking he's going to move it in the right direction.
So a lot of red meat for the base.
Yeah, there's no...
See, Jake tried to pull it back. When you see numbers in the 60, it's no longer the base. Once you cross that 51% threshold, that's your people. That's Democrats. That's independents going, yeah, I don't want none of that. Jake tried to say it was you and me. Oh, that's it's red meat for the base. Well, if it was red meat for the base, it was cooked red meat for the independents. I don't eat steak because Robin, when I see her get her steak, it looks like it's still mooing. If I were going to eat it, like most black people I know, we get a well-done steak, which I don't eat steak, but, they want it cooked. The independents got to cook red meat. Just as tasty for some people. And now what do you do? What do you do at this point when it went over every single Panikin, every black pillar, every fraud pollster? Oh, midterms are done. Oh, it's over. And I kept saying, you heard me say it to the pollster, you don't even know what's going to happen next week. How the hell are you out here promoting that the midterms are cooked? And here we are, Tuesday night. Nobody should be saying right now that it's over. In fact, it should be just the opposite. You now, as Democrats, have to prove you're even eligible. Why should we even look at you? Why should we even pay any attention to anything any of you have to say at this point? You got nothing. I don't care about your speeches. I don't care about your depositions. I don't care about your Epstein crap. You got nothing. You couldn't stand to say that Americans should be safe. Game over. Game over. I want you to go home. Maybe she's in the same room with you. If you're married, there are a couple things that would instantly break your marriage. One, maybe cheating. Two, honey, I'm not interested in protecting you or providing anymore. Oh, really? Yeah. I'm done paying rent. I'm done paying electric. And, I don't care if somebody comes in the back window. That's just not me. I can't stand for that. Go ahead. See how long that woman or otherwise that says, well, you know what? I hear you. Thank you for telling me. I got to go pack. because that's what the Democrats did on Tuesday. They most assuredly told Americans, even Americans who were teetering, I don't care. I can't protect you. I don't stand for protection. I don't stand for American values. I don't stand on my oath. I definitely don't stand for the Constitution. So love me as I am. No.
No doubt about that. If you're a Republican on the ballot in 2026, I think you leave this speech being as happy as you could possibly be, that he sort of stuck to the script on the economy, he gave red meat to the base on immigration, and they can leave the hall tonight and sort of take that out on the campaign trail.
Yeah, you think? I mean, seriously, you think they could take that on the campaign trail? Of course they can. Now it's up to you. Now it's up to you to take it on a campaign trail. It's you to be promoting that. Because some people didn't see it. Some people didn't see that the Democrats sat down for your protection, for your prosperity, for your values, for the American way of life. Some people didn't see it. And you can guarantee that mainstream media is not going to talk about it anymore. They may go back to 24/7 Savannah Guthrie. Who knows? Anything. They can't even talk about the hockey team, which we'll talk about. Saw this last night on the plane while I was coming home.
Many on the left were even angry at the U.S. men's hockey team, gold medal hockey team, for accepting an invitation to the White House and the Capitol after winning gold. Others on the left melted down because several members of Team USA posed with the president's press secretary wearing USA and Make America Great Again hats. Here with more on all this madness, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. I didn't know you caused such a stir and such a controversy. I mean, how horrible that you took pictures of American champions that made us proud, that are proud of their president, their country, and proud to represent us.
Well, I didn't know it caused such a controversy either, Sean, until I just saw that headline flash on the screen, and I'm truly appalled. I saw a lot of Democrat commentators today spiraling out of control, grasping at straws, trying to find any excuse to criticize President Trump's exceptional speech last night, and they have a very hard time doing so. It's even forced them, as you just pointed out, to turn against the great men and women who brought home gold medals for the first time in 46 years since the Miracle on Ice. These are great men. They're patriots. They are great athletes who represented our country at the highest level of sports. And the president was so proud to present them to the joint Congress last night. Both Democrats and Republicans should be able to stand up and clap for these young men who made our country so proud on the world stage. But unfortunately, it appears that Democrats, their brains have been so debilitated by Trump derangement syndrome that they can't even root for Team USA. They can't even stand when the president calls on them to do so for American citizens who they swear an oath to protect.
You know, it's really interesting to me because now this dovetails back to everything they've been trying to do, they no longer have the ability to do. And what I mean by that is everything that they have been focused on, from DEI, from transformer stuff, has been designed, even the baby removal, the LGBTQ ISS-IPPI agenda, all of it was designed to replace men as the primary alpha. They don't want to see masculinity. In fact, they invented a term called toxic masculinity. Masculinity is making a comeback. That's what they're trying to suppress. They don't give a shit about the medals. They don't care that we won a gold medal. What they care about is that these are strong young men who have their own brain about them, who speak in ways that, you know, guys talk. They're all upset about the locker room joke. I'm telling you right now, sports writers are worse than mainstream media. They infiltrated the sports media as well. And they're all, you know, clutching their pearls because these guys were guys. They didn't do anything wrong. They laughed at a joke that really wasn't all that funny. They were probably just nervous talking to the president. And it was so tame of a joke that you can tell that outrage is manufactured as well. But these guys were happy, and the part that they don't like is because it underscores what they did at the beginning of the speech. They hate America. They don't want to stand for America. They don't want people praising white, mostly white, young men who love America. It's everything they hate. And then, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Pat McAfee, who is a big, huge podcaster, and used to play pro football with the Indianapolis Colts. They were down here partying in South Florida. And it says here, Pat McAfee paid for the U.S. men's hockey team's bar tab as they celebrated winning at a club here in Miami. It was 11-11. That's the name of the club. The team went through $150,000 in champagne, tequila, and vodka. Forget the price. Doesn't matter. Pat can afford it. He wanted to do it. I wish I could have chipped in. Everything about that, I just want you to understand, everything about this post, young, white, masculine men were cheering, excuse me, and having a great time in a nightclub, and they spent an overwhelming amount of money partying. I know some of you guys are sitting back going, how in the hell? I've been to some wild parties in my life. How do you spend $150,000 in party? It's the party favors that cost that much. I'm just saying. Okay, anyway, these guys go down there and they party. They have a great time. They're celebrating. They just won a gold medal. And the left is pissed. What do you mean? How can that be a bad thing? Well, you know, young men aren't supposed to do that. And then last night, I can't show it because NHL copyrighted it, but in case you don't know, some of these guys who played on the team play in the NHL, and they have, you know, even though they're playing for Team USA, one may play for the Florida Panthers, another one may play for the New York Rangers. So last night the season resumed, and when the season resumed, Jack Hughes, the guy who scored the winning goal, he plays for the New Jersey Devils. And he came out and the crowd went wild, and he went, wait a second, he skated over to the other team's bench where one of the other teammates for Team USA, and he brought him out there and they both skated on the ice together. It was fantastic. But somehow spending $150,000 at a club pisses people off because guys are being guys. And Pat McAfee paid $150,000 to help these guys celebrate. Again, I'm not talking about the number, but you know, some people were, oh, you can imagine how many homeless people could have been fed? It's his money. He can do whatever he wants with it. You people keep thinking you're entitled to spend somebody else's money. Go pound sand. So that's what she was talking about.
You know, if you go back in time, I mean, we have clips we played on this program of Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, even Chuck Schumer saying you need ID or else it lends itself to corruption and fraud. And that was the Democratic Party then. This party does not even represent Barack Obama or Bill Clinton. And I thought, especially in the case of Barack Obama, he was pretty far left. Now, I think the absolute genius in the speech last night, and I want to know if you agree, is the president created the greatest, you know, comparative choice election this country will ever face. You know,
contrast. He created the greatest contrast we will ever see. In fact, it should be something every media outlet presents to the Democrat. Democrat gets in front of a microphone. Do you not believe that protecting American citizens is your number one priority as an elected official? That's it. Shut up and listen. If somebody can't answer that question, if somebody is unwilling to just simply say, yes, it's my number one priority, how the hell can you vote for them? This thing ain't going away. You know, they kept saying, oh, Epstein ain't going away. Oh, this ain't going away.
if you think it's the first duty of the government to protect American citizens and not illegals, stand with us. They didn't stand, Caroline. They sat. What does that say?
It shows their true colors, Sean. President Trump set the Democrats up in a trap, and they fell right into it because they cannot help themselves. They truly stand on the side of the tens of millions of illegal aliens who they allowed to pour in to our nation's open borders under the Biden administration. They truly stand on the side of career criminals who have gone to jail not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 12 times in the case of the young woman in North Carolina whose neck was slit by a career criminal who was released back onto the streets in North Carolina by Democrat policies. And they could not even stand for her heartbroken mother, who President Trump was commending last night. They couldn't even stand for a young girl who is now suffering a brain problem for the rest of her life because of an illegal alien truck driver who smashed into her family's vehicle. It was so despicable to be in that chamber and to watch as these Democrats really did show their true colors. But to your point, the president, it was a brilliant idea. It was his idea to put that into the speech, and it proved to be right because he wanted the American people to know that this is a choice between common sense and President Trump and Republicans and crazy radical Democrats who stand for nothing except for being against Donald Trump.
Now, you have to understand what she just said there. Most presidents, the speechwriter says, here's what we're going to talk about. Okay. And okay, so I say this then. Okay, my cadence needs to be this. Let me read through it. She just said, the president said, put this in. The ultimate marketer said, I think we got something here. I want to say this. And I'm sure the strategists in the room went, no, it could backfire on you. What if they stand up? I don't want to underestimate that at all. I want you to realize the man took a huge gamble. He basically went all in with a pair of sixes. By the way, SB's going to be here in town tomorrow. We're going to play some poker. I got to see what he's got. But they went all in on something that they had no idea what the response would be. Imagine how terrified some of the people backstage were, like, okay, is he coming up? It's coming up. It's coming up. Let's see what happens. Yeah, everybody stand. And I'm sure some of the people backstage were like, oh my gosh. They walked right into that giant bear trap. And I can only imagine wondering what the shock would have been like. It would have been crazy. And so he said, let's roll it. Let's go with the gamble. Let's see what happens. And they sat down and walked right into the trap. And then afterwards, kept their feet in the trap. They could have come out within hours and said, we didn't really understand what he meant. Of course we support Americans, but they didn't even do that. They had no way to extricate themselves. And because they didn't have any way to extricate themselves, they got bound up like, absolute nuts. All right, so we've been here a while. I want to fast forward to something. I'm going to jump over this because I want to make sure I get this in. One of the people I spoke to yesterday was Congresswoman Lisa McCain. And so I'm going to play that interview for you, and then depending on time, we'll talk about it. This was the first one. I was able to cut this one and get it in, but this is the introductory clip is Lisa McCain at the briefing, and right after the briefing is when she talked to me. This is Congressman Lisa McCain.
Well, good morning, everybody. So good to see you all. I want to first start by congratulating all of our Olympians. It was a phenomenal weekend. It was a phenomenal period of time to see people represent the United States of America. And I think if you watched any part of the hockey game, men's or women's, you really saw true Americans. And what I want to say is Thank you for the American athletes who represented America and gave their best. And just compare and contrast to some of those athletes, and I won't even dignify them by giving them a name, that train in America, that live in America, that were born in America, who have enjoyed the freedoms that America has given them, and then they don't even have the respect for the country in which has given them so much to represent that country. I wonder why. I can think of about 20 million reasons why. But I noticed at the end, that person didn't get on a plane and go back to that communist country. They came back to the free country, the US of A, who is the best country in the world to give them that opportunity. And just compare and contrast with what we saw with the men's hockey team. They are proud to be an American, and they showed it, and they left everything on the ice. So congratulations to all the American athletes who trained here and have pride in their country. And with that, I'm going to switch gears and talk a little bit about the State of the Union tonight. You know, President Trump is going to tell the truth that the media won't tell. The state of our union is strong, and it is getting stronger. Let's be clear about what we walked into. When President Trump began his second term, he didn't inherit a smooth runway. He inherited a complete disaster. But he's delivering results. Under Democratic rule, reckless spending lit inflation to a 40-year high. Under President Trump and Republicans, inflation has fallen to 2.4%, a 70% drop from its peak. That's not luck, ladies and gentlemen. That's leadership. Under Democrats, 20 million illegal immigrants poured through our open borders. And thanks to President Trump and Republicans, Remain in Mexico is back, Catch and Release is dead, and we've had 9 straight months of zero releases. The border is safe and secure. And that's not luck, that's leadership. Under Democrats, radical overregulation sent gas prices through the roof. Under President Trump and Republicans, gas prices are at a 4-year low, and Americans' energy is roaring back. That's not luck, that's leadership. The bottom line is this: Republican leadership is working. Maybe not for the Washington bureaucrats, but it is working for the American people.
I am Congresswoman McCain. I represent Michigan's 9th District, also chairwoman of the House Republican Conference. And today I brought my guest, Ben Hockenberry from my district, business owner that helps veterans transition back into the workplace in his business.
That is a very admirable thing. Very admirable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So a question for you. Big question of the day. Are you guys going to be able to, one way or the other through the talking filibuster or whatever, get the Save America Act voted in?
We did our part. We passed it. Pretty much for the third time we passed it.
Right.
It's sitting over in the Senate. And my message to John Thune, I know you need 60 votes in the Senate,
right,
but put the bill on the floor. Put the bill on the floor. It is an 80-20 issue.
If not more.
Right. Heck, even Mondami, the mayor of New York, believes in ID now.
Yeah.
You needed to shovel snow. My God, we do not want to oppress the snow shovelers in Detroit, right?
No, not at all. And at least get them vocal and have to say what your stance
Put
is.
them on record and defend their position.
You sound frustrated.
I would say focused. To me, put the bill on the floor and make people explain their vote back to their constituents.
So are you asking for them to do the vote on the floor and actually go through the talking filibuster, make them stand up there for hours,
100%.
defend themselves?
Defend yourself.
So how does
That's
that
the
process
job
work?
we signed up for.
How does that process work? Everyone's going to get a chance to speak once or twice, or how does it work?
If you want to, you can talk for as long as you want to talk. You want to delay and stall and disrupt. You have every right to do that.
Have you ever had to go through one?
I did go through the Kevin McCarthy 13-week speaker fight. I also lived through his magic minute, and it's not pleasant.
Right.
But you know what? That's what you got to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you have a right, sir, you have a responsibility.
I agree. So with everything that's been going on lately with the tariffs, you guys you're going to have to do a lot more work. What do you think now in terms of what the Supreme Court has done and now the new tariffs that President Trump is putting out?
Yeah. Listen, I am applauding President Trump for the work he's done to bring manufacturing back, to create more jobs, to level the playing field and create more fair trade deals. Tariffs were a tool in his toolbox that enabled him to do that.
Right.
You can't deny it. It is. And what the Supreme Court ruled on, although I'm not, I don't like the ruling. I wish it did not go that way. They didn't rule against tariffs. They ruled against the vehicle in which the emergency powers, in which you could use to enforce the tariffs. So if I know our president, and I think I know him fairly well because I've been in the room a time or two, he will find a way to continue to negotiate to get the best deals for Americans.
Good. I've broadcast a number of your press conferences during the last shutdown. And here we are yet again.
Almost looks like a strategy.
Yeah, it just seems to be playing the same movie over and over again. You guys got to be knocking your heads against the wall in terms of trying to get these people to even budge. How do you end this?
I think we end this with common sense with the American people, but we have to get out there and tell our stories at events like this. Mm-hmm. We have to correct the truth with the other half of the truth and tell the American people really what's going on. Gang, we funded ICE through 2029. ICE is funded. Do you know who you're hurting? TSA. You're hurting FEMA. I don't know if you guys know, but there's a snowstorm right now. Some of these Democratic states and of which these Congress people represent, they're going to be wanting FEMA money. Well, you're cutting your nose off to spite your face. Homeland Security, titch important. That's who you're fighting for. Really?
Mm-hmm. With this scourge of socialism and communism, how do you guys fight that messaging? It makes no sense whatsoever. It doesn't work. It's not going to work. Yeah. It seems the only thing they have going for them is media. Anybody who I live in South Florida. I can drive 30 miles into Miami to Little Havana and actually talk to people who lived it. Yeah. How do you overcome that?
We continue to tell those stories, but I think the Democrats are gaslighting the American.
Yeah, of course they are.
American people are way smarter than the Democrats think they are. I mean, they know how much it costs to pump your gas, right? They know what's right and what's wrong. You're not going to gaslight the American people. And at the end of the day, you have to stand for something. The only thing they stand for is I hate Trump.
Yeah, I hate Trump.
Trump could have the cure for cancer. And they would say, oh, no, I'm not taking it.
You know how you know when someone has nothing to say? When your campaign speech is F Trump. If that's all you have to say, it means you got nothing behind you. It's just F Trump.
Yes.
So what about my gas? What about my mortgage? What about my taxes?
It's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault.
It's Trump's fault.
But what are you going to do for it?
And I got to tell you, coming from South Florida, I had heard all the nightmares. We came into Washington, D.C., and we're just like looking around, and there's no garbage. It really got cleaned up. And if you're not here to see it for yourself, people don't believe it. They think it's been made up. But I mean, we didn't see any homeless. It's
a
clean.
beautiful city. You see, people feel safe. I mean, I have a daughter that moved up here and is with me now, 23 years old. She'll be 23 years old. She rode the metro for the first time.
Wow. It felt safe. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, everybody wants to live in safe communities.
And I got to tell you, even as a black guy, I wasn't freaking out when I saw the National Guard. Oh my God. What am I going to do? This National Guard. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
What a crock.
Well,
what an absolute crock.
Give people a little bit of credit, right? It's no different than they say, oh my gosh, well, the SAVE Act is oppressive to women because, you know.
You care about it?
Really? Really? You don't think we know that when we get married and if we take our husband's last name, we have to change our, I mean, my gosh.
Well, I'm going back.
A little bit of credit for
I'll
that.
go back and say my grandmother, my mom, my daughter, my wife, nobody had any problems. We were able to find IDs.
Yep.
So with you sitting here, and here's a big question for both of you. Where do you see this going with A, Iran, and B, with Mexico?
Iran, I think I'm going to take them in two separate pieces. President Trump is serious when he talks about negotiating a deal. Mm-hmm. And for many times, previous presidents, they really haven't been taken serious. Mm-hmm. I can share with you, President Trump will negotiate a deal. And he's serious about ending Iran having a nuclear weapon. Yeah. And their games about, we're going to do it. Look over here. And then, hey, look at all this uranium enriched. Yeah. Those days are over. And you know what? Iran knows it. Yeah. And there is something to say. I know it sounds like a cliche, but there is peace through strife.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And, I know they're flagging me to hurry up. So the question, what about Mexico?
Mexico, I think President Trump was right again. Didn't he label Mexican cartels as terrorists? Uh-huh. Oh my gosh. And what happens when you killed the leader of the drug cartels? They burnt the city down. Sounds like a terrorist act to me. Absolutely. Maybe he was right again.
So tonight, just last question. You're probably one of the only people besides he and his speechwriters. You and Mike Johnson probably have heard it. What are we expecting?
I think it'll be very heavily optimistic, okay, but I think he will tout all of his wins because it's important because we passed so much in the one big beautiful bill from education to transportation and infrastructure to tax to the farm bill. We have to educate the American people on what those wins are. Yeah. And there'll be a lot of focus on the economy.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Enjoy your day.
And nice meeting you and everything you're doing as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. That might seem short, but you don't have a whole lot of time. And just to give you an idea of what's going on while you're talking to these people, and it's pretty cool. The whole room is packed. I'm just clicking something. The whole room is packed and there's people walking around, but their handlers, they're looking right at you. But I can't see them. I can see Ashley because she was off to my 1 o'clock. So as I was sitting here, I was looking at Miss McCain and Ashley was standing right there. But I got wrapped up into the interview, and at one point I completely lose time as well. And I look over and Ashley's like, oh, okay, we're supposed to stop. Okay, we get it. Because you have a certain amount of time. I tried to get as much stuff in. I just want to let you guys know it's different than doing it on a podcast because they'll sit for 15, 20 minutes and I can just keep going and play off. We have a very set amount of time. They walk up and they'll say, excuse me, you got 8 minutes, you got 9 minutes. Okay, let's try and make these 9 minutes work the best for us. And so we'll get in and that's a sample of what you're going to see. Now understand, that was the congressional meeting. That was Tuesday morning. Wednesday's interviews were with the cabinet, and you're going to see over the next couple days some real difference there. She was great. She is polished. She's done so many speeches. She's done so many presentations, press conferences. So she's really, really good. She knows to look at the camera. So I commend her because she's very, very polished. By the way, she's tiny. I mean, tiny. But I know seeing her press conference, she's very powerful. And when I mentioned about the script, notice what she did. She threw her head back and laughed, which a body language person will tell you, I know it's coming, but I can't tell you, because she was polished enough to put her head back, give her time to think and smile. I think we're going to tell. She knew what was coming. And when I mentioned, she and Mike Johnson and probably J.D. Vance, there were a very small group of people who had actually seen the speech before he did it. So there were certain people who knew what was coming. And then, obviously he went and did it. But we had a whole bunch of that content coming your way. Just, some of them with lesser known people. I'll probably stack 2 of them in the same show. If I can get back tonight, no, it's already 5:19. All right. So, but tomorrow, what I'll do is I'll stack a couple of them together. Some of the lesser known people, we can hear from them. And notice, again, what I'd said earlier, there's a frustration there. Their frustration that the House did their job, they passed it, and they can't get John Thune and people to get it done. And that takes me all the way back to the very beginning of today's show when I said, you know, President Trump is here for 3 years. He's got 3 years left, and it'll go like that. And too many people are counting on the fact that they can run the clock out. And just hopefully he doesn't get his job done. And so you're going to see over the next week or so a big, huge contrast. I mean, massive. You got the congressional people I'll be talking about, and then you're going to see the cabinet members, and the cabinet members are absolutely on fire. They want to make it happen. They want to get it done. That was the biggest takeaway I found, is that they're ready to run, but because of the way things are set up, they can't get it done. So we shall see. So that was the first one. I was able to get that one put together real quick and have it ready for you guys. I forget what number she was. She wasn't the first person. She was probably 4 or 5 people in, but I wanted you to get somebody that you recognize right off the bat. And it was fun. It was just a lot of fun. And it felt natural. It wasn't scripted. And I think we'll get her on the show. I mean, because Ashley's got all their numbers now, so we shall see. Let me take a couple of comments. I didn't recognize Barry without his hat. Yeah, I know a lot of people said that. I didn't have it. Look at all the businesses leaving sanctuary cities. Exactly. What else? My dad always said dynamite comes in small packages. Before the part I cut out, because I have to edit some stuff, she said, what do you want me to say here or there? And I said to her, I've seen enough of your press conferences. I'm not going to tell you what to say. I know you can handle yourself. And she started laughing, and that was funny. Rilla said my mom was 4'9". My dad was, he's 6'2". Wow. I appreciate all you do, Barry. Thank you very, very much. Thank you guys. And like I said, I couldn't have been there if it wasn't for you guys. And one of the things that was very interesting, like I said at the very beginning of the show, there weren't any other creators there. Patrick Bet-David was there at Congress, but on the next one with the cabinet members, we looked around the room, and I'm like, Ashley, what are we even doing here, man? These are big networks and things, and Sirius Radio, and me. And I realized it's because of you guys. And I also realized that little old me, when I say little, I'm not little, but our corner of the world here, I mean, between Rumble and YouTube, we did like 250,000 people watch the State of the Union with us. Fantastic. And those numbers, these people noticed. And a couple of people in the cabinet, they actually recognized me. And I was like, okay, because, Kelly Loeffler was there. So I felt really good. But none of this happens without you guys. So you're going to see a whole bunch of these interviews. We are very comfortable right now. We feel we have a film crew. The ones in the cabinet were different, so we had to film those with GoPro and a phone. These were filmed by a crew that we hired out of Virginia, and now they're our crew. We go to Washington, we make the call. They're going to come film us whatever we need to do. So we're pretty psyched about that moving forward. So that was the first one. More to come. I did want to tell you one thing President Trump posted earlier. He says, great news for America and our wonderful White House. The judge on the case of what will be the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world has just thrown out and completely erased the effort to stop its construction. As everyone knows, not $1 of taxpayer money is being spent, but rather all money necessary to build this magnificent building is being put up by patriot donors and contributors. The ballroom construction, which is anticipated to also handle future inaugurations and large state visits, is ahead of schedule and under budget. It will stand a long time into the future as a symbol to the greatness of America, President Donald J. Trump. It was interesting. While we were waiting for security to usher us into the building in the freezing cold that it was, we saw the cranes and everything being built. So that was pretty cool as well. Seeing the big, beautiful ballroom getting built. All right. So I'm tired. We've traveled all night. I'm glad I got this show in, but we're obviously there won't be another show tonight. I will clip that interview with Congressman Lisa. Oh my God, Lisa McClain. I'll probably put that up later in case you guys just want to. You don't have to wait and tell your friends for 3 hours, and we'll do that. But other than that, I'm gonna do super chats and probably go home and take a nap. Oh wait a minute, I'm taking Robin out to eat. Actually, she's taking me out to eat. Oh, here's a funny story. I live in South Florida, and the sea is right there, so there's plenty of seafood. Anywhere you go down here, there is seafood. I'm in Washington, D.C., and the first night we're there, we got in late, and we're like, well, let's call DoorDash and get some food. Of course, I wanted some sushi. It was probably the first time in my life that I actually put something in my mouth from sushi and went, bleh, this thing was nasty. So I couldn't wait. Let's see, we left, I don't know how long we were there, but I didn't have any sushi the whole time we were gone. So I had to come home and get some sushi. It was nasty, absolutely nasty. But the other food was fantastic. Joe's and a couple of the restaurants. The restaurant I posted, the Orbit, was fantastic as well. Absolutely fantastic. But I couldn't find any sushi, and I'm a sucker for some sushi. All right, so let's do super chats. James Hammer, I have contacted the following senators: Thune, Justice, Capital Rand. I told all of them to do Trump agenda and pass Save America. I challenge Fanfare Family to do this as well. I challenge them as well. That's what it's going to take. Don't think your voice is insignificant. Don't think your voice on X is insignificant. People read this stuff. They have different algorithms so they can see what people are thinking. Some of them on the left obviously don't care, but they definitely can see it. Roberto, Mayor, Lord and Savior, have mercy on us. Yes. George, there was a movie called Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Smith had his eyes open. Well, Mr. Berry went to Washington, and it was eye-opening, very eye-opening. Ashley can probably say the same thing in the chat if she's still here, but it was just very eye-opening. And I don't think Trump can do it unless we make these people pass his agenda. There's going to be one interview. This was pretty funny. I forget who it was. There's so many people we talked to who talks about specifically something I didn't know at all. And because I mentioned it to him, I'm like, what are you guys going to do and get these executive orders codified? Which we all think none of them been, but there's been dozens of them that have been codified. And I'm like, oh, all right. I didn't know that, but now we do. But I forget what interview it is. I'm sorry, we did so many. All right. Brad, Congress has only passed 2 bills this year. Why? Because they won't get off their ass. Nikki, State of the Swamp was on the backdrop. They were rubbing it in our faces that they were the deep state. It was a swamp creatures convention. She's talking about the furry guy and the dolls, whatever they were, that was a deep state swamp convention. She's exactly right. Game Animal, Barry, I've been praying with others for President Trump, his cabinet. Let us urge people in our area to get on the ball, vote. Absolutely. And I just want to let you know, I personally interviewed Marty McCary from the FDA, Scott Turner, Linda McMahon, and Kelly Loeffler. I got to speak to a few others. I got to listen in to a few others. We couldn't get Brooke Rollins, but talk about a firebrand. She is a firebrand. I ran into, what's his name? Sean Duffy, transportation. These people are hustlers. They want to make it happen. That's probably the biggest takeaway I have, is that if President Trump is allowed to have his thoroughbred horses run the track, they are going to completely change America. No doubt. No doubt whatsoever. Chris Wright was the other guy I spoke to. If they can do what they need to do, we will be a prosperous, safe, strong America, and even the Democrats and loons will prosper from it. Everything that they were saying was an absolute no effing brainer. I don't know how this can't happen. The only reason is because if he succeeds, they'll never be formidable as a party ever again. So they got to attack the hockey players. They got to attack us, call us nuts. And I'm like, every single thing these people were saying makes sense. I was trying not to be a fanboy, except for like Tom Homan. I would have been a fanboy. But even with Scott Turner, as he and I were talking, I was so glad when I got the appointment schedule and I saw his name on it. I turned to Ashley, oh, we go talk some real estate. And we started talking, and he played football. And man, the guy is on point. And that's what I want to stress with you guys. What's holding us back isn't anything to do with Trump. It's Congress and the Senate, because these people are thoroughbreds, absolute thoroughbreds. Yeah, buddy, term limits. Nope, never going to happen. The guy was nice to sit with us, but I spoke to one guy who's been there 46 years. And the whole time that was going in my mind was, you've been here 46 years, which means you've probably gone through 7 or 8 presidents. Never mind, won't say it. Nancy, to shovel snow in New York, they had to pay them legally. They had to show 1 million forms of ID, but nothing for voting. You're right. Buddy, again, don't insult Robert. Redeem Patriot. President Trump said first priority of Congress is to protect, not support the American people. Yep, exactly. Jay Smith. Rename ICE Heat, Homeland Enforcement and Apprehension Task Force. They don't like ICE. Nope. Mariah, the greatest moments we were able to celebrate in years. It was awesome. As a country, we won a gold medal. They would have been so happy if we lost. Geosop, if the money was spent on illegals, Mrs. Doubtfires or Ilhan Omar, then they would have been okay with it. But send it to American champions. Oh no. Yeah, they hated that. I don't think 1111 is a strip club, but they've got dancers in all kinds of different places. And people were like, $150,000. Well, $10,000 champagne bottle. I mean, it's crazy prices. But Pat McAfee, he offered to pay for it. I don't know how you have a problem with somebody giving somebody a gift. It's insane. Barry, who's the hatless dude who sounded like you? I was this close away. Like, Ashley, you think they'd really care if I wore my hat? And I'm like, Tim Pool went to the White House and he was in the press briefing. He wore his beanie. They're like, you ain't wearing your hat. And I tried to slip it through her, but Robin had already told me, you ain't wearing your hat. Okay, no hat. Kelly, thank you. John, We Watch YouTube is in the chat. She produces non-copyright Christian music. I told her I would introduce her to you. All right. For our next prayer meeting, I'd love to have some of that music. Thank you for tuning in. Chiosop, can't wait till Barry interviews the president. Ashley took a picture. When we walked in, hold on. Barry, you did a great job interviewing. This is epic. We are so incredibly proud of you. I am proud of you guys. Thank you guys for watching. When we walked into the White House, outside there was a giant placard, and it was a picture of President Trump welcoming us in. And Ashley took a picture. I'm like, if he walks in here, I'm done. I'm total fanboy. I mean, the Secret Service will probably put me on the ground. Like, I just want to talk to him, please. But he couldn't come in. But I'm getting closer. I just want to say it one more time. You guys got us there. And then, of course, Ashley has done a fantastic job in everything that she's done. It's been simply amazing watching her transform from a teacher with no political experience, no production experience, and I'm watching her walking around with, it was Caroline Levitt's assistant who she was walking around with. And I'm like, damn, that's my little girl. Oh, that's my little girl. She's up there in the White House just getting a stack of business cards. And what was so cool, as she was getting the business cards, they were turning it over and giving their personal cell phone numbers. I'm like, damn, we're getting there. We're getting there. In fact, you know what? I would prefer to do more of these than go to the White House press conference. I really would, because you get more. You don't get one question or two. You get to sit down and talk with people. So I would much rather do that than go to a White House press conference. I don't care about those other. Although there are a couple of reporters who we've had on the show where it was funny. Here's a quick funny story for you before I go. We walked right past Monica Page. Just walked right past her, and now she's like, "Is that Monica?" And it was too late. But then the other one was Ashley went to the ladies' room, and when she's in the ladies' room, she saw somebody in there she recognized, and she's like, "Reagan?" And Reagan Reese, and Reagan turned around, and she goes, "Oh, I realize you've never seen me." And Reagan, she's like, "It's Ashley." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And they were able to have a moment, but. You know, once you're there, and even I recognize somebody, a woman who I talked to many years ago. She's on Sirius right now. She used to be called Stacy on the Right. I'm not sure if she still goes by that handle, Stacy Robinson. And you know, she was coming in the gate and I hadn't talked to her probably in 7 years. And I go, "Are you Stacy?" And she goes, "Barry." I'm like, "Yeah." It just felt so good to see people that we know. And a couple other people, a guy, I think it was Adam from the Patrick Bet David podcast. We'll see if we can get him on as well. I love to see what his reflection was and perspective on everything. But overall, I just thank you. Thank you guys. You guys made it possible. And because of that, being tired and all from flying in, getting in last night at midnight, trying to sleep in. The dog wouldn't let me sleep in. Had to take him out at 6:30. I'm like, I am so tired, but I have to go on and talk to everybody. So I'll recoup. We'll do another one tomorrow. Maybe we can get 2 of them in. And oh no, we won't be able to get 2 in. As I mentioned earlier, SV is coming into town. So he and I are going to go with Robin. We're going to go to dinner and then play some poker afterwards. See if I can, hold on. I'm going to see if I can bankrupt him. See if I can take some of his money. I won't tell you if he takes mine. I'll just have to ignore it. All right, everybody. Thank you. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.